You
This
for making the
conference
time.
will now be recorded.
Perfect. So my name is Ryan Atkinson. I'm with a company called SmartEtailing. We do websites and marketing for bike shops. We've been in business for 20 years, founded by independent bike shop owner, and grown, over those 20 years, just exclusively focused on serving bike shops. So I have a relatively narrow and relevant focus to the conversation today. And you're going to see my logo on every slide, but this will not be a presentation about smart detailing. And in fact, I'm going to assume that anybody watching does not have one of our websites, and I'm not going to talk about the features we have to try and entice you to call to learn more. I'm going to assume that most attendees have a website built on any number of common platforms like Shopify, Squarespace, Lightspeed, WordPress, Wix. There's any number of different choices. Um, all of them have different strengths and weaknesses. So I'm going to go through some slides. I'm going to move relatively quickly. This course is intended to be fast and informative, but I'm not going to go deep on any one topic. Any point along the way, if a question comes up, if I use a term that seems jargony, go ahead and use the chat function in the GoToMeeting and submit a question kind of while it's top of mind. When we get to the end, Rochelle will kind of go over the questions, but then also as we get to the end, you can raise your hand and turn on your mic, and we can go over questions that way as well. But we'll go ahead and get started. So the presentation is going to have two key components. One is just kind of more your website, just looking a little more holistically at the role it plays in your business today and some basic best practices. But then I'm going to transition into Google search, which is very related to your website. So all of the support information that I have in that section is going to be focused on work that you can do on your website. And I'll explain why I've broken it up this way as we move forward. So first, all of you know this now that the shopping process starts online for consumers. So there was a time when the sales funnel for a bike shop involved raising some awareness that you were in a community. That was your location and sign out front. It was a Yellow Pages ad. It was showing up at events. Um, and once that awareness was raised, then a consumer would walk through your door, and that was basically the start of your sales funnel. Well, today, product information and information about businesses is so much more accessible. And so consumers tend to interact with your business online before they ever visit your store. And so it's super important that we get your website configured in such a way to serve your business well. So, and having an effective website, of course, is not about selling online. That can be a portion of your business, but the majority of your investment lives in your physical store, and your website drives customers to your physical store. It's a stepping stone for those customers so they come in more informed and prepared to experience the business that you've built. Um, this first impression is absolutely critical. So, I encourage you to kind of ask yourself things like when you're going to a restaurant, what do you look for in a restaurant's website? If you're going to be visiting a tourist attraction, what do you visiting their website? What does that tell you about whether you're going to go out of your way to visit that place? These are all questions that consumers are asking about your business when they encounter your business online. Is the website credible? Does it look modern? Is it easy to work with? Is it trustworthy? Does this look like the kind of business that's going to be around in a while, a business that that values their customers? Is this a professional company, or is it kind of a hole in the wall? Does the website answer my questions? If I want to know when you're open or what you sell, can I find that so I can justify getting in, walking in your door and learning more? Does the site make me feel welcome? Do they want my business? And of course, this includes things like inclusivity. Do you have images on your site that represent the communities that shop with you? And fundamentally, am I in the right place for the thing or service that I'm looking for? Does this business portray that they're going to be a good destination for me? So this might seem very fundamental, but if you put on fresh eyes and visit your website today, ask yourself if it checks all of these boxes. And if it doesn't, it'd be good to put together an action plan to start working through these things. And if you need any insights on what does it mean to be trustworthy? What does it mean to look professional? I'm available to answer any questions about that. Once somebody makes an initial assessment, which happens relatively quickly, how easy is it to interact with your business? So keep primary navigation on your website simple. This is just a very common trap that bike shop owners fall into, and that the website is a place that can kind of be a grab bag to talk about everything you could possibly want to talk about. And since you know it's on your website, you might just add links into your main navigation, hoping that your consumer is going to weed through all of the information that's there to find the information that they're looking for. But commonly, people don't like to read, they move really quickly, and so less is more when it comes to primary navigation. Include key navigation links in the footer as well. So as a reminder, the footer is that area that lives at the bottom of your website on every single page, and it tends to be the bailout option for consumers. If they scroll down your homepage, look at your navigation, and don't find that path to what they're looking for, they tend to scroll down to the footer to try and find essential links or contact information in order to reach out to you. So make sure you don't neglect your footer. Something I would commonly see visiting bike shop websites is the only information in the footer would be a copyright date and the website provider that the bike shop is subscribing to their service, or the company that built the website for them. You want to make sure that that's a quick index of how users can interact with your business. Cross-link between internal pages. So what that means is on your home page, if you're going to talk about your service department, your repair, your fit department, if you're going to talk about financing, if you're going to talk about hybrid bikes, anytime you're referencing a place on your website where somebody could learn more, build an internal hyperlink to get people engaging across your site. Let them work their way through your website similar to how they work through your store. You may lay out your store with the intent to encourage a certain traffic pattern, but if you sit back with a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning and see how different people interact with your floor layout, you'll see that they have all different ways of interacting with the store depending on what their intent is, how familiar they are with the site. The more internal linking you have, not just from your home page, but from your service page, from your About Us page, and really helping make it easy for a customer to find different zones within your site, the better off you are. There's this whole other benefit of search engine optimization that comes from quality cross-linking. It nurtures things like lower bounce rate, more page views, more time on site. Those are 3 of the over 200 metrics that Google uses in ranking websites. So the more you cross-link, the more you encourage those metrics. Use compelling images. You can use them from your brands. Most of the brands in the bike industry are really good about giving access to the digital assets that their professional photographers produce, but also everybody's got a really high quality camera phone today. Just make sure that the images you put on your website are clear, appropriate, good color, not too cluttered. We are a visual, we interact with businesses visually today. Some people would say that visual shopping is going to be the wave of the future, especially companies like Pinterest. They want us to believe that. So whether it's the totality of shopping, it'll certainly be a part of shopping, and those images are very important to you. Have clear and consistent design formatting. So if your logo has 3 colors in it, we'll say gray, orange, and yellow. Stay within that color palette for all of the components of your website. Backgrounds paired with white and black, of course, which any website will have. Your call to action buttons, your hyperlinks, your headers. Make sure all of that matches your brand. You don't want to give customers visual confusion by having that same orange and yellow logo, but big green buttons or red buttons because you read somewhere that red buttons get a better click-through rate. It's more important that you give a consistent brand experience to your visitors than whether or not your click-through rate on a call to action goes up by a fraction of a percent. And most importantly, don't require visitors to think too much. Your website is, for many users, a utility. It's a way for them to get questions answered and make a decision. Help them do that as quickly as possible. And so always be willing to come back to your website and say, can I do this more simple? Can I reduce the number of words in this headline? Can I use bullets instead of paragraphs? Do I have enough hyperlinks? Asking these questions regularly helps you keep it easy for your users to interact with your website. And lastly, remember mobile first. So, web usage has transitioned to where over 50% is happening on mobile devices today. So make sure you're visiting your website on a mobile device and asking yourself, if you didn't know your way around, would you be able to find your way around? And then here are some basic rules of thumb to keep in mind. I'll call out just the last two. Easy access to calls to action is very important. So remember, a call to action, or a CTA, is you're asking somebody to do something. Click now, visit today, shop hybrid bikes, whatever it is. Have calls to action on your website to compel users to engage with you, and then make them easy to click. And then speed matters. So you may feel that the best way for you to promote your service department is to throw 10 pictures of your service department and all of your employees onto a page, maybe a video of your service department, every line item that you do for add-on repairs. The more you do that, think of you're adding time to page load speed, everything that you put on that page. So when assuming that many users are going to be on your website, on a mobile phone, on a cellular data network, keep the weight of that page, the amount of data on that page, as streamlined as possible. So now let's transition into how do people get to your site. And I'm going to have the conversation exclusively around Google, but that's just for simplicity. Each search engine uses slightly different algorithms, but just aiming at Google means that you're going to have the same signals on your website that other search engines will use. So search obviously matters for your business. This fact is an important piece of this, that consumers for a major purchase, they spend months researching that purchase, and it's not necessarily a linear process. People are going to start dipping their toe into the water of, maybe I do want a gravel bike. They're going to read articles, they're going to watch videos, they're going to go to different brand websites, different bike shop websites, visit different stores. And all of this happens at different times of day, on different devices, maybe spread out by weeks. Your website is an opportunity to try and put yourself in that process whenever a consumer takes an action. You'll find marketers today that say that the sales funnel is dead, and there's some truth to that. Google says that every buying journey is totally unique. But as marketers, you can still make broad assumptions that help you decide the role that your website is going to play in helping serve your needs. So in this scenario, the sales funnel is a consumer decides they want a bike. So what do? They go and they do a broad search to try and find pages that inform them around the product that they want to buy. And then they move on to the discovery phase, which is basically just means clicking links. They might read articles, videos, visit retailers, etc. Eventually, they're going to select a product that they want to buy. And once they select the product they want to buy, they still need to select where they want to buy it, and that's where that conversion happens. So your website can play a role in each one of these steps, perhaps multiple times, just in the purchase of a single bike. So for search for a bike shop falls into 3 broad categories, and I'll go into each one of these in a little more detail next. But location, services, and product. So location is the one that probably everybody on this call feels pretty good about. If you type in bike shop near me and you're at the coffee shop across the street, if you type in your business name, the major brand that you carry, in all likelihood, you have enough search reputation, and because your brand is built into your URL, you're going to show up relatively well here. But never take this for granted. You need to be constantly nurturing this. Then services, what do you do there? Those would be very common search queries from customers. And then lastly, product. People buy products today differently than they did 20 years ago, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. It's important to remember with search that you are always competing. So you can never take for granted that because you have a great business and your customers are happy with you, or that you sell the best brands, that just means new customers are going to be walking through your door. So you're competing all the time for consumer time and attention. their discretionary spending, let alone just what they've allocated to bicycles. You're competing for impressions. That's the equivalent of a modern billboard, is how many times do you show up for a consumer who's searching for products that you sell. You're trying to get engagement. Do they just see your brand name, or do they click through to your website and see what you have to offer? Of course, you're competing for sales, and that, I kind of break that into two pieces, initial sale and then loyalty sales. So there was a time when somebody bought a bike from you, they would load up on all their accessories before they walked out the door. And today, they're checking out at the register for the bike, and they already have their phone up looking for helmets on Amazon. You have to remember, with each purchase that somebody makes after the initial one from you, that you are once again competing for that secondary purchase. So moving on to kind of category one, location and hours. So very simple things. We'll be sharing this presentation afterwards so that you can kind of ask more detailed questions about these. But this is the essentials. So include location details link in your main navigation. I promise you that a large majority of the customers coming to your website are looking to see, where you're at and when you're open. Make that very accessible. Same, have a customer pull your website up on their phone and find the location and hours for you, to make sure that the person who didn't build the website can find it easily. Include that same information in the website footer. Remember, that's that bailout option where people go to find that critical information. This is off-site, the next bullet point, but maintain your Google My Business, Facebook, and Yelp profiles. Now, Google My Business is a no-brainer. That's just such a key to your business results. Google is continuing to refine the search results screen. If you haven't Googled your business on a mobile device lately versus a desktop, you'll see that organic results are really shifting around a lot, and Google is really playing up what they call their business cards or business profiles. You want to make sure that that is completely up to date. Get the Google My Business app on your phone, configure it to your account, answer the prompts. Google's always going to ask you when major holidays are coming up, whether you're open or closed. Maintain each one of these 3 listings for that very reason, because you want well-informed customers who don't show up at your store only to see a piece of paper taped to the door saying that you're closed. Use city or neighborhood names in your website text and metadata. So, your bicycle repair page, for example, the actual page title might just be bicycle repair. But in one of your headlines on the page, I'd encourage you to put something like the bicycle repair in Chicago. Or in the metadata, which you could call the page title or the meta description. These are things that most website providers have offer you the ability to edit, kind of behind the scenes information that plays a role in search. Put your neighborhood and city in there as well, and it will help improve your ranking. And then, of course, think mobile first, and that's design, user interface, and speed. These sites need to move quickly. Now, if you do this work, the great thing is if a consumer who conducts a local search on their smartphone, 50% of them will visit a store that same day. So, in marketing, we call that intent. If somebody pulls their phone out of their pocket, looks up bike shop near me, they're looking to go to a bike shop. It's not just a general curiosity. So doing that well can increase foot traffic in the store. Next is services. So have a unique landing page for each service. Take an inventory for yourself. Do you offer fitting, repair, rentals, trades? Anything you do that isn't selling a product, have a distinct landing page for, with appropriate title and localization and the key information that somebody wants about it. You don't want to just have a single page that says services and just kind of a short list, because not only are these pages informing the customer, but imagine them as fishing hooks for search traffic as well. You want one highly relevant page that answers a customer's very specific question. In the navigation, you can group your services. So you can have just a services button that, once it unfolds, shows each of the individual pages that someone can click through to. When you're naming those pages, don't just name it repair. Name it bike repair or bicycle repair. You want to send signals to Google what type of repair you do. And you have to assume that somebody who's searching for bike repair is going to put one of those words in their search query. You want to make sure your page is aligned with the actual text that the consumer is going to type in. Be transparent, informative, and accessible. So there was a time when you might have wanted to hide all of your tune-up package pricing for fear that somebody across town would match them. That is a secondary factor now. You want to make sure consumers see what you have. You want to answer their questions, and you want to answer their questions quickly. And again, include those city names in there. I'm of course going long, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker here. I want to talk about products, and I want to step outside of bikes to something non-normal for you as a bike shop owner. I like using washer and dryers as an example. The reason is I find that if we talk just about bikes, then those of us on this call know that a consumer is going to get the best bike buying experience if they come to a local bike shop and meet with an expert to find just the right product for them. But a consumer doesn't know that yet. All they know is they're looking for a product that there's a whole bunch of different brands and they all kind of look the same and they're full of technical features and the prices vary wildly. And they've got more questions than answers. Set aside your enthusiasts that know everything about everything, more than your staff. We're talking about the majority of shoppers who are new to the sport or recreational. Ask yourself, how would you shop for a washer and dryer today? Would you Google local washer and dryer sales near me and go to a local shop and trust the salesperson to walk you through all the features and help you make good decisions? Probably not. You'll probably Google something like best washer and dryer or just washer and dryer, and you'll start clicking through to retailers that display the products online, and you'll learn a lot more before you choose where you're going to go. So step outside of bikes, think like a consumer, and this is why you want to win product searches. Lots of ways to do this. So again, I'm assuming you have, say, a WordPress website. If you do, get the brand logos you carry, major brands, especially your bike brands, on your homepage. Add tags and internal links. So what that means is Google doesn't necessarily know that a Giant Bicycles logo is a Giant Bicycles logo, but you can add alt text to that image to tell Google what is this thing. That will be helpful for you. Make the image clickable to a page on your website. Very common mistake I see bike shops make is to link these logos to the brand website. That makes sense in the level that the brand can talk about the brand well, but remember, once the consumer leaves your site, they have it's less likely that they're going to come back to your business. Go ahead and spell out the brands you carry on a page dedicated to this. Spell out Giant Bicycles, Haro Bicycles, whatever the brands you carry are, because Google can read that text and they can then start relating that brand name to your business related to searches. Same with types of bikes, hybrid bikes, mountain bikes, electric bikes. Spell this out so Google knows that you have to offer it and you have this product to offer. If you have a blog function on your website and you choose to use it, go ahead and talk about specific products you sell that are selling well, but put the product name in the blog title so it will show up in search. If you have a website that can display products on it, I encourage you to do it. Every item that you put on your website is that fishing lure to win search specific for that product. But if you do it, you do need to maintain pricing and availability because consumers have an expectation today that that information will be accurate. Now, people are shopping all the time. So according to Google, 84% of Americans are shopping for something in any given 48-hour period. So the cyclists in your market are constantly deciding they need new shorts, a new seat pack, a new pair of tires, a new bike, whatever it is, and they're starting on their phones, and that's why this stuff matters. And so we have a few minutes left, and I'd love to take any questions. Rochelle, did anything come through via?
Yes. So Brandy just asked, is it important to also change the names of your photos?
To change the names, meaning like add an alt tag. I think it can be helpful. So like if you put a picture of your shop or the shop dog on there, you can add the alt text that says like Brandy's Bike Shop. I know that's not the shop name, Brandy, but But yeah, if you add that, then it makes it, it's another signal to Google that that resource might be relevant to somebody searching.
When you do that, when you add alt text to images, do they show up in image search as well then?
They can, yes. Now, image search has a whole different level of complexity to it. So if you were to do it, I would say make it your focus to say that you're trying to make each resource on your website, headline, paragraph, image, you're wanting to maximize each one of those to get users to land on that page, whether it be through a standard text search or an image search.
Mm. Brandy asks, can you clarify the difference between alt text on an image and the file image name?
So the file image name is the actual address that the servers are referencing in order to pull the file. The alt text is information that you as a property owner are trying to communicate to people searching for things related to that image.
So the file name, just for clarification for Brandy, is
Mm-hmm.
how it finds it from your computer. The alt text is how the internet finds it,
Yes,
basically.
there's a little nuance to it in that the file name also matters, but they're two distinctly different things.
Okay.
And broadly on SEO, because these are all search engine optimization questions, all, there's a lot of mystery associated with it, but there's also a lot of free resources out there. Um, and um, and don't overthink it. So just try taking next actions. If you do some of the basic items like we talked about here today, because of the quality of your business, you will improve in results over time.
Great. So Brandy asks, Andrew, what would you say are the most important site metrics to track?
Asking, okay, on for Andrew. Well, let me answer the question in case. So important site metrics, visitors is number one. That's the top of your sales funnel. You could divide that into unique visitors if you want to get a sense of how many new people are coming to your business. Bounce rate is important to monitor, but it's a bit of a tricky one because 5 years ago, a low bounce rate was a good signal that people were engaging with your content. Today, a lower bounce rate can be viewed as a positive because it means that people come to your site, find what they want, and leave right away. But I think it's still a good thing to track. Number of page views, how much are people clicking around? Is your site a good resource? Time on website. Um, uh, and then if you have a commerce-enabled website, then there's metrics around sales, orders, item per order, average order value, and revenue per visitor is an important one that we monitor.
Great. All right. And then Brandy says, these were excellent basics. And what will you cover in the next webinar in the series?
I'd love feedback. A topic that I'm very focused on right now is merchandising. So your website is like it's a storefront, and how you merchandise your products on that storefront can help entice customers to come in and visit you. So that's a topic I'd like to do next. But if like SEO is a super common, I'd say most of the questions I get are around SEO. So I'd be happy to take a deeper dive on something like optimizing SEO on your service page, something very small so that it's not such a survey.
Perfect. And if anybody does have feedback on what they want in the next one, you can just email us at NBDA and we'll send it back to Ryan.
Great. And then if anybody has any direct questions for me, my email address is here, or you can find me through our support line. But I'm super grateful that you took the time to listen today.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think we're going to end it right here since we have no more questions. Thank you, Ryan. This was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
We look
All right.
forward to our next webinar with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks.